Okay.
She's not responding, so.
Okay. All right. Good morning. I'm calling this meeting to order. I am Chairman Luke Ahmet. Commissioner Steve Bradshaw is present, and Commissioner Asia Williams is also attending remotely. It is October 31st, 2023. It is 9 a.m. and this is the regularly scheduled Board of County Commissioners meeting that is taking place in the Bonner County Administration Building, Suite 338. We've done our call to order. The invocation, Pastor Hollis.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, as these services of these communities move forward to the business of our communities, concerned citizens, let them know what their plans are and what they would like to see happen with our community. We just pray that your wisdom comes in and your peace and your grace comes into this room today and lead us in cooler heads, prevail, and we get to the solutions that you would have for us to be a community that shining beacon of light on the hill for those that are looking for a peaceful, warm, lovely place to live. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Last year, Bonner County lost a valued member of our team, Darcy Smith. Today is the one-year anniversary of her death. So if we can take just a moment to remember her and what a bright, shining star she was, excuse me. Now please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. All right, and now we will move in to our public comment section. However, we are here today for the regular business meeting. The purpose of the regular business meeting is for the Board of County Commissioners to conduct the business of Bonner County publicly. Regular business meetings do not constitute public hearings wherein the public has the right to be heard on every agendized item. However, at the discretion of the chair, everyone may be afforded an opportunity to speak on a particular issue. If recognized by the chair, any unrecognized comments or disruptive behavior will be grounds for removal from the board meeting by the chair and subject the person being removed to criminal prosecution under the law. All right, first on our list, we have Christina Anderson.
Thank you. Christina Nicholas Anderson, for the record. Can everybody hear me okay? Zoom land? Okay. Thank you for the moment of silence. I'd like to just first add to that. Today at 1:30 p.m. at the Bonner County Fairgrounds, we will be having a remembrance of Darcy Smith and all of her radness. Everybody in the public is invited to come. It'll be a brief moment. We'll have a moment of silence and prayer for those who choose to engage, followed by a sharing of all of the awesome things about her. And it'll just be a community gathering for those that'd like to remember her. We'll be right out front of the fairgrounds. You're welcome to attend. Those of us that choose to will be wearing orange in her honor, cow print, bees, and unicorns. Be a positive opportunity. Having said that, I'd like to start my public comment with, I have witnessed a pattern of behavior exhibited by various employees and electeds in this county whom have been forwarding emails to Sheriff Wheeler regarding the Bonner County Fairgrounds and Darcy Smith, despite his having clearly stated to me he didn't have anything to do with the investigation into her death. Additionally, when asked about it, he responded that it was the city's jurisdiction. So we saw the former HR director forward him a citizen letter complaining, completely unrelated to him, but related to the fair. Now, when I requested to have the gathering at the fairgrounds today to remember the late fair director, my emails were again forwarded to him. So I have a couple of questions. One, what is the sheriff's interest in the business of the fair? And why are county officials so set on sending him citizens' emails? We've heard about what's the commissioner's obsession with the fairgrounds, so I'm wondering what is the sheriff's obsession with the fairgrounds? And are county officials continuing to forward him these emails? If it's not his obsession, what's the county's obsession with forwarding them to him? Secondly, due to continued triangulation and potential for breaches of confidentiality, trust has clearly been broken. I request that all executive sessions require in-person attendance. No telephonic or Zoom participation be allowed to protect the absolute confidentiality of those meetings. This is especially important in light of witnessing a particular commissioner who repeatedly forwards these emails to multiple individuals not party to an issue. I just personally experienced this with a couple of different individuals, one of whom I don't even know, and I don't know how they're party to the fair business. So I just request that that be given consideration. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Ms. Lunsford.
Amy Lunsford for the record. Okay, so seems like each week I don't want to feel like a broken record, but I kind of ask the question and then I get Asia-splained and then I go home and I think about some more stuff going on. And so I get some more records requests. So if the fairgrounds didn't have any of their books electronically kept track of, and I'm not sure if the custodial party of the money gave the bank statements to the sheriff. How did the sheriff come about his report to find Mrs. Smith guilty of embezzlement if he didn't have all the information needed to actually do an accurate audit to figure out if she had taken the funds or who took the funds or if they weren't accounted for?
Damn, good question. Thank you.
For clarification, Ms. Lunsford, I'm going to give you your time and then I'll give you a brief response. Do you have any other questions? So the investigation that was conducted was not conducted by Sheriff Wheeler. It was done by Prosecutor Marshall. In regards to finding somebody guilty of theft after they are deceased, that is antithetical to the ideals of the American justice system, and that is absolutely wrong. In regards to how the conclusions were arrived at, those are questions that are best asked to Prosecutor Marshall, but I do agree, as Sheriff Wheeler has repeatedly released multiple press releases, those questions do seem appropriate as well. And I have no good answers for you.
Okay, I did send an email to Marshall. If you go to the website, you don't really get to, I couldn't find an email addressed for him. It was I'm assuming a clerk of some sort. And it's been over a week now and I still haven't gotten any answers on the email I'd sent to him. And pretty much, each week somebody says, oh, take it to the AG, take it to the AG. Well, pretty much the AG says that they don't police people who are unethical. They have to do something criminal. So we have to prove that they've done something criminal for the AG to do anything. So, if it's unethical, then I guess we as the public have to push them to give this family a public apology for, putting the horse behind the cart. But thank you for your time and your response.
Thank you.
Ms. Darla Fletcher.
Good morning. Darla Fletcher for the record. I may sound a little bit like a broken record myself, but I'm real interested in putting some transparency out there as it regards actions and not words. And we've had a lot of trust issues, I think, in the past year develop as it relates to many things, but in particular, I want to talk about the Fair Board records. And I'm not sure that, I know there's supposed to be a workshop. I'm not sure there's a process there so that we can actually know what's going on. And in particular, going forward, I'm concerned that it's my understanding there's a Fair Board manager. There's 2 people who work in the office, and then there are multiple grounds people. But we keep seeing a sign on the door frequently that says the office is closed. And so my question or my concern is, who's keeping up with the hours? How do we know that as the taxpayers we're actually paying for people that for hours they worked? I'm not trying to say anybody's doing anything mischievous, but how are we keeping up with that if we don't even have records like we've talked about to give for an audit? Are these salaried people, and so we're just paying them a flat salary every month? Or are we actually having a process that is truly transparent? And interestingly, I did recently go read the statute as it relates, and it says in the statute that as a taxpayer, anytime during hours, I can walk into the office over there and ask to see their books. That's my right as a taxpayer. And yet at a Fair Board meeting last month, when I asked to see the records, and the audit, or the accounting person, the third party accounting person was there, and she offered to give me her contact information and she would show me whatever. One of the Fair Board members spoke up and said, "Oh, no, you can't do that. You have to put in a public records request." So I'm a little confused that we're not able to hold them to the statute. And I just would really like some real transparency as to what we're paying for. And thank you for your time.
Another town fine question.
Thank you, Ms. Fletcher.
It's okay for questions.
Is there any other members of the public who would like to make public comment? Mr. Moore?
How are you, Kevin?
Pretty good, thank you.
Yeah, Kevin Moore for the record. So preceding me a couple places here, whatever, heard the term like a broken record. And so here I go, I guess I'm going to fall into that same category. I feel like I'm a broken record here. And so several cycles ago, I asked the board here, I guess kind of Luke took it on or whatever, as per, I was hoping to get some more definitiveness about the verbetta, kind of how that thing all played out. And you just used the word a minute ago with the one sister here about antithetical. And it's like, well, you know, while we're still alive, most things aren't antithetical, because there's interconnections, layers to how these things, we can learn from the past so we don't make mistakes in the future. And so to try to tie my little scenario in here of wanting the public to better know all the goings forth with the verbetta thing, as per how it got started, what monies it took to supposedly replace this bridge. Was it replaced then again because it wasn't up to gross vehicle weight? And then the litigation that we had after that. And so I'm sad to say that my sisters here reminded me that this is the anniversary of Darcy's death, which I had lost track of because I guess I wasn't that connected to it. And so the public should steadily remember that Mr. Verbetta, you know, he's not walking the earth anymore either. And so there are several deaths that have happened kind of on our watch here that has some kind of interconnectivity with all of us, and particularly with the authorities of Bonner County. And so I'm still hoping, and as the sisters mentioned here, a couple of them, about filing a Freedom of Information. Well, several weeks ago, you kind of chastised the public or whatever about, you know, you guys being overburdened monetarily and timing wise to do these things. And you even made a comment last week to me over the thing about well, it's not, Kevin, it's not a freedom of information, it's a personal, whatever,
Public record.
It's a public
Public
records
records, yeah.
Yeah,
request.
FOIA
And so-
is federal.
yeah, and so whatever terminology we want to use, whether it's county or federal, it's like, yeah, I'm just a citizen trying to find out more information so that my brothers and sisters can better understand the monies that have been spent on several of these areas, whatever my concern is a Verbetta thing right now, but it's not just a Verbetta thing, because I have a culvert that still has a problem, and it's just very ironic, and I want to use some more derogatory terms than ironic, that monies was spent to replace a bridge for Mr. Verbetta out of to where there's still nothing done for a culvert that's under term or for its usage.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. I'm not sure if can I get the exact question? And I'd also like to address, in regards to the culvert, going back to the Kerry Kelly Commissioner days, you received a letter that was actually written by our current prosecutor that remains in effect, as I stated. I don't recall how many months ago, but I can dig that letter up again.
Yeah.
Which made clear, with the guidance that Bonner County received from ITD, the position of the county and the Idaho Transportation Department. And this commissioner is going to follow the advice of the Idaho Transportation Department and our legal. And I believe that is still the state, but I'm happy to have that conversation. In regards to the Verbetta Bridge, I don't believe that we replaced the bridge. And I don't believe that we expended money on it. Did we expend taxpayer dollars in defending the position of the county in which the court agreed was right and just? Well, the bridge has not been replaced.
Well, I'll have to go back and do my research again or whatever. It's been a while. But as far as going back to our situation about the culvert and ITD and Marshall or whatever, you sent me a copy of that. I had copies of that from previous or whatever. And so I don't know that there was a real definitiveness coming from ITD. But in 2017, there was a flood that came up in my first floor after that piece of paper from Mr. Marshall and stuff, given a declaratory or whatever of their positioning. But there's been time since then or whatever, because Mother Nature is still out there or whatever and incorporating what she does at any given time. And we still have a culvert that if you go to IDWR, as I sent you copies, you all have copies of their criteria for drainage areas for culvert sizing, then you can get anybody to give you their degree of expertise, we'll call it or whatever. But there are other opinions out there that have to be brought in to balance maybe somebody that's biased in giving out their declaration.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Moore. Is there any other members of the public who would like? Oh, thank you. Mr. Lady, and please correct me if I'm butchering your last name.
Thank you. It's okay. Its last name's pronounced Leedy, but it's okay. Good morning, commissioners. It has been 1 year since the death of Darcy Smith. On July 26, 2023, Sheriff Wheeler released a defamatory statement accusing former Fairgrounds Director Darcy Smith of fraud. This was based on an amateur investigation using assumptions and not real numbers or data. There was never any real proof that Darcy Smith did anything wrong, only rumors and guesses. I asked that the Bonner County Board of Commissioners demand that Sheriff Wheeler apologize for this baseless accusation and ask that they demand that Sheriff Wheeler withdraw this accusation against Darcy Smith. The stuff that has been put out there has been hurtful to the family and to the community, and it's all based on rumors. And I ask that the Bonner County Commissioners stand up against this type of bullying. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leedy. Is there anybody else in the audience or online that would like to make a comment before we move into our next portion of our meeting? All right, I will step down from the chair and make a motion to amend the order of agenda and to strike the sheriff's item regarding the destruction of sheriff's records. And to be clear, this is at the request of the sheriff. And to further add an emergency executive session, records exempt, to discuss insurance. And this has received authorization that it does in fact constitute an emergency from our legal counsel. Is there a second?
I would second that.
There is a motion and a second in regards to the amendment. Is there any discussion about the amendment? And by the way, people, I'm going to be taking a little bit longer today to provide Commissioner Williams the opportunity to type in her responses because of life. All right. Roll call vote.
Mr. Omat,
Yes.
Mr. Williams said aye. Mr. Bradshaw,
Yes.
I will remain down from the chair and move to adopt the order of agenda as amended.
I would second that.
There is a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the amendment of the agenda? Roll call vote.
Mr. Omat,
Yes.
Mr. Williams says aye. Mr. Bradshaw,
Yes.
The motion carries. All right. Is there a District 1 Commissioner report?
Oh. I'm waiting
No.
for,
Yep.
yeah, no, I have nothing right now.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner. And Commissioner 2, which Commissioner Williams, I am to understand, has submitted a report which will be read into the record by our clerk.
thank you to everyone who attended the first area town hall. It was well attended and we were able to get some great information, from property tax discussion to understanding the county's emergency services. Due to the holidays, I will wait until January for the next community focus. So far, we have addressed areas in the Southwest Bonner County area. If you have a suggestion of a community that you want me to work with, email me. Otherwise, I will select one randomly. Next commissioner chat is with Korean War vet Willie C. I encourage you all to attend. Anyone have any questions for Commissioner Williams?
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. That leaves me. Last week, on October 24th through 26th, I traveled with 4 other members of the Bonner County staff to the Idaho Office of Emergency Management's annual Preparedness and Cybersecurity Conference. This conference received no tax dollars from Bonner County. It was completely paid for by the Idaho Office of Emergency Management. I'd love to tell you that it was happy, but it was not. As a matter of fact, I kind of find it terrifying, and I actually have chills as I'm sitting here thinking about the problems that we face as a nation, as a state, and even as a county. The first 2 days of the conference dealt with emergency management, which is more of a perspective of the physical world. And the third day, we transition into the cyber world. The physical threats we face as emergencies, the big ones we have that we think about are flooding, fire. But if you think about the Colonial Pipeline, you have fuel. Heating gets important. People die of cold. And if you don't have drinking water, you will certainly die of dehydration. Idaho has a remarkable facility called the Idaho National Laboratory that is paid for by the Department of Energy. While we were there, one of their people who are smarter than I am pulled up this technological map, and it showed the effect of the quagga mussel. Full disclosure, I have no idea what a quagga mussel truly is. I never want to see one. But what I know is that we've spent millions of dollars fighting an infestation, which is why when you travel into our county, you're supposed to go through a boat wash station. In the Snake River, they used some fancy type of copper, and pretty much they treated the river because of what this will do. There are millions of people that are affected and millions of dollars that are agriculture. that is affected. These mussels are so small that they can be taken into the intakes of our water filtration systems and shut them down. If you're someone like me and you get your power from a Vista, there's a problem for you. We start thinking about this in January, that's a problem. You start thinking about if you're someone like me and you live and you have a water filtration system, if that gets into your water filtration system and it prevents you from being able to have drinking water, this becomes a problem. That was just one example, and this was brought forward by Governor Little as he discussed the concerns. And that's a physical emergency that was brought in by someone accidentally as they brought a boat in to recreate. Bonner County has 21% of the state's standing water. Between Bonner County and Kootenai County, we have 28% approximately of the state's standing water. This is the first known incursion, and I'm using the word incursion, of quagga mussels to affect Idaho. And the consequence is going to be millions of dollars. What that does to a local budget, it's going to break us if we have to try to address that. Furthering in regards to that conversation of still the external is our utilities. We are in a new day and age of cyber warfare where we simply do not have the physical, financial, or in some regards, the intellectual capacity to be able to compete with nation states. And there were a number of, I'm going to use the word upsetting examples that were brought forth. And I will read from a couple of them. The MGM Caesars Casino hacks point to an alliance of teens and ransomware gangs. The MGM Casino in Las Vegas was held up with ransomware by a group of 18 to 24-year-olds utilizing Russian technology, and they were able to hold those casinos hostage for $15 million. Speaking only for myself, I have yet to have a day where I've earned $15 million sitting at a keyboard. Some of the consequences: young people born with computers in their hands are told there's little reason to go into debt, jobs don't pay enough to live, income inequality will never change, the wheels are coming off of our political system, and the planet is trying to get rid of us. And when we have young people that are partnering with, I'm going to use the term that Russia is not our ally and able to commit a $15 million threat, I find that terrifying. Well, what's happening? There was $8 trillion in global cybercrime losses in 2022, $3 billion in US business email compromising. Hospitals are targeted, disrupted, and contribute to the failure of the United States healthcare system. And I'm going to look to our emergency director. There was a statistic that was put on the screen that your life expectancy, if you were in a hospital that was hit by a ransomware attack, is lowered by 17 to 20%.
Correct.
Why would people target a hospital? Well, think about it. The amount of technology that is there to be able to save our residents' lives is intense. They have you literally by your life. And what that will do, if you don't pay, they shut off your oxygen. Think about what that does if they shut off a Vista Utilities in the middle of January. Cyber insurance is wobbly, risk transference is in question, the nation-state criminal relationships obscure attribution. Right now, there is yet again more conflict going on in the Middle East. When Israel puts up a page asking for assistance, the Palestinians start using AI to take it down. And when the Palestinians put up a page asking for assistance, the Israelis attempt to take it down. This is the world not as we want it to be, but the world as it is. And here are some of the odds that we have to deal with. And we think about the amount of information that we have on our servers that involves your taxes, your income, your address. Equifax, one of the 3 largest reporting agencies, had all of its information stolen. The information is believed to have been taken by China. Equifax has essentially a financial perspective of every American. I know what my credit rating is individually, and apparently so does China. 90% of all security breaches are done by user error, and the odds are against today's security analysts. There are 4,000 password attacks per second. 72 minutes is the median time for an attacker to access your private data if you fall victim to a phishing email. And there are 3.5 million, we have a 3.5 million global shortage of skilled cybersecurity professionals. One of the pieces that I think was the most alarming and somewhat encouraging is an understanding that cybersecurity is physical security. And we are spending a lot of money to protect our citizens and their resources, both here at the county and over at the sheriff's office, to be able to protect both our physical and our cyber infrastructure. But Bonner County's $80 million budget is not on the same par as Russia, China, or North Korea. AI provides a means where you can force multiply your ability to disrupt and destroy our way of life. And it was an excellent conference and terrifying. Finally, last week, Spencer Hutchings brought up some points in regards to seeking information for the fairgrounds, and I did submit a number of records requests, and I will let people know what the results are after I get them. And that is that's my super shiny report for today. Public comment is closed, but there will be opportunities afterwards. All right.
Yeah, and hacks, Schweitzer experienced one last year or early this year. Post Falls got hit for 3 million. Couple of times in a row, yeah. And so that's why a lot of times when we have purchases over 5,000 and we say they're confidential, if you're a hacker and I publicly tell you what program I bought, they will go and buy that program and figure out how to get in it. That's why you don't put that out there. It makes it more difficult for them. And so, and it's expensive.
Yeah.
But it's even more expensive if they get in.
I would entertain a motion to proceed with our consent agenda.
All right. Mr. Chairman, based on the information before us, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I will step down from the chair and second the motion. Is there any discussion?
None.
All right. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Omat,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams. There's no. Commissioner Bradshaw.
Yes.
The motion carries. Our first agendized item is Clerk Rosedale and Miss Stephanie. Oh, there's not public comment in regards to the.
She's
What?
asking if I can reread her email because apparently people could not hear me.
Can't hear you.
We will reread it
Okay.
after Miss Stephanie.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Can everybody hear me? We have 3 action items. The first is for fiscal year 23 claims batch number 27 in the amount of $65,463.11 and demands in batch number 28. I think that might be a typo. I think they are supposed to be, well, maybe not. In the amount of $1,920.38 for a total of $67,383.49.
Okay, I move to approve payment of the FY23 claims and demands in batch number 28 totaling $67,383.49.
I will step down from the chair and second the motion. Roll call vote.
This is the one she has Commissioner Williams has a question
Oh.
on for Ms. Stephanie.
Oh, pardon me. Yep.
So I apologize. She
All right.
says yes to the consent agenda. Her question for this one is, there are bills for attorneys on the agenda. Page 10 and 11 show 2 attorneys, Hickey Law Firm and Pittman. Who submitted these bills to be paid and what are they for? Thank you.
I don't have that information in front of me. I can get it.
Yeah,
I can come back
and
in
if she
just a bit.
recalls, we covered those in the
Oh.
litigation billing review.
Well, did she want us to hold, Commissioner, I'm sorry, I'm looking at you. Commissioner Williams, would you like us to table those items temporarily? Hold off on payment on those items? Sorry, folks, I'm looking out in the ether because that's, yeah.
She says if you don't have the answer, she will abstain and ask later.
Okay.
All right, and I apologize for, we are not going to vote yet. Is there, so we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any public comment on this first batch of, this first claims and demands batch? Hearing none, is there any discussion amongst the board?
I'm good.
Roll call vote?
Commissioner Omat,
Yes?
Commissioner Williams will abstain. Commissioner Bradshaw,
Yes.
The motion carries. And
And
Ms. Stephanie?
regarding fiscal year 24 claims batch number 22, $1,037,602.70 and demands in the amount of $666,297.73, totaling $1,703,900.43.
Okay, I move to approve payment of FY24 claims and demands in batch number 2, totaling $1,703,900.43.
I will step down from the chair and second the motion. Is there any public comment on this?
Yeah, Dave Bowman, that's just a pretty darn big number for demands. Could you put some detail in there, please?
Yep. So we have a $214,000 payment to Umpqua for a lease on a new motor grader for Road and Bridge. And then we have a $179,518 charge to SNL Underground, and this is part of a solid waste project. Then let's see, $35,000 in fiscal year 24 employee contributions. $141,000 in medical for Bonner County. I'm just trying to look at some of the other big ones. There's 2 more for right around 30,000 a piece. Those are also for leases for Road and Bridge. I think that's pretty much everything. There's one for 5,000. That was fuel. Does that answer?
Yeah, well, things like fuel seem pretty reasonable to be in demands, but lease payments and so on, aren't they scheduled? And why wouldn't they fall into
A regular
ordinary-
batch?
Yeah.
I think it's a timing issue between the time that the contracts get signed and the payment needs to be made.
Okay.
I believe.
Is there any discussion amongst the Board of Commissioners?
not that I see.
Roll call vote?
Commissioner Omat,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams says aye. Commissioner Bradshaw,
Yes.
The motion carries.
And number 3, fiscal year 24 EMS batch number 2 in the amount of $215,955.83 and demands in batch number 2 in the amount of $250, totaling $216,205.83.
I move to approve payment of the FY24 EMS claims and demands in batch number 2, totaling $216,205.83.
I will step down from the chair and second the motion. Is there any public comment on this claims and demand batch?
All good?
Is there any discussion amongst the Board of Commissioners? Roll call vote?
Commissioner Omat,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams says aye. Commissioner Bradshaw,
Yes.
The motion carries. Madam Clerk, if you would reread the statement into the record again so that people out in E-land can hear?
Apologies for earlier and not being heard. Commissioner Williams' District 2 report says, thank you to everyone who attended the Priest River Area Town Hall. It was well attended and we were able to get some great information, from property tax discussion to understanding the county's emergency services. Due to the holidays, I will wait until January for the next community focus. So far, we have addressed areas in the Southwest Bonner County area. If you have a suggestion of a community that you want me to work with, email me. Otherwise, I will select one randomly. The next commissioner chat is with Korean War vet Willie C. I encourage you all to attend. Thank you.
Mr. Hutchings, I'm just going to ask, were you able to hear that?
Yes, I could hear it.
All right. Thank you, Spencer. And I apologize. I'm going to go back. The expenditures for Doug and Maureen, the expenditures over $5K. The first one, there was for the sheriff, there was a confidential item. And the invoice has yet to be issued when it says when the application reaches the coordination stage. Item 2 for EMS, the Stryker annual life pack maintenance agreement of $6,840. And there are 2 confidential items for technology, and one was for $24,600, and the second one was for $11,520. And I apologize for my error. Our next item on the agenda is solid waste. Oh, Bart. Thank you for the assist, people. Need all the help I can get. And our next item is Director Howard.
Morning, Commissioners. Bob Howard, Director of Solid Waste, for the record. Attached is a land lease agreement between Bonner County and West Pond Ray Fire District. Bonner County Solid Waste will lease a space located at 1230 Peninsula Road, Priest River, Idaho, to install a communications tower and repeater system. West Pond Ray Fire District will pay Bonner County Solid Waste $50 per month, payable on the first of the month. This is a 1-year lease. This has been approved by legal. So there's a real thick packet of engineering study or engineering requirements and things West Pond Ray has to follow. This is for their tactical repeater. This is the best location that gives them coverage for their entire district. So the $50 is basically just to cover utilities. So to support our fire district.
And Director Howard, this will also increase will it also help Bonner County Emergency Management as well?
If we add another, we have the ability to add another antenna, another repeater if we choose to at some point in the future.
So this is providing infrastructure that will help keep county residents safer.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Chairman, based on the information before us, I move that the county approve lease agreement between Bonner County, West Pond Ray Fire District, in the amount of $50 a month for the space at 1230 Peninsula Road for the installation of a communication repeater antenna.
I will step down from the chair and second the motion. Is there any public comment on this agendized item?
Yeah, I want to ask
Mr. Moore, could you come to, you got to come to the microphone, because then people out in internet land are going to think I'm denying you your opportunity, Mr. Moore.
Amen.
And I don't want to do that.
Amen. Kevin Moore for the record. So when you give the monies for number 3 there on the consent agenda, were we able to ask any questions about that? As you did the 2 for the technological, whatever, 24,000 and 11,000, that's 33,000. So are we getting in a position to where we can call things confidential? And so then we citizen really just keep in the ozone that it's confidential?
Oh, we have been in that position for years, and we do so at the advice of counsel. And yes, it is CYA, which is consult your attorney, and the attorneys told us to do this,
Okay.
and that's what I did.
Okay.
Is there any other public comment on this agendized item regarding this tower and repeater system? Is there any discussion amongst the board?
No, thank you.
Roll call vote.
Commissioner Omat,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams says aye. Commissioner Bradshaw?
Yes.
The motion carries, but I see that Dave Van Anderser, do you have anything to add?
No, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you.
For a second. Dave Van Air for the record. This really helps us out a lot because north of Priest River, there's hardly no cell phone service till you get to Priest Lake. So, and we're also going to put up a community repeater there as well, so that public community repeater, so the community can use it as well as us too.
Thanks, Dave. That is great. That's awesome. All right, Director.
Item number 2, Solid Waste is requesting to move $2,932,983.19 from capital construction line item 023-9480 in FY23 to capital construction line item 023-9480 in FY24. The Colburn capital improvements will continue into this current budget year.
Mr. Chairman, based on the information before us, I move to approve the county approve resolution 2023-85 to move $2,932,983.19 from FY23 023-9480 to FY24 023-9480 for the carryover of the Colburn Capital Improvement Project.
I will step down from the chair and second the motion. Is there any public comment on this agendized item? Is there any discussion amongst the board?
No.
Roll call vote?
Commissioner Omat?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams says aye. Commissioner Bradshaw?
Yes.
Director?
So this next item is emergency management. Bonner County Emergency Management has a 2006 Mirage trailer, VIN number 5M3BE3039610233379, which is no longer needed by the department. The attached resolution declares that the referred vehicle is surplus and available to transfer to Boundary County Emergency Management. This trailer was in service as a mobile communication support resource, which was replaced. This trailer was originally purchased by the Idaho Office of Emergency Management and transferred to Bonner County at no cost. Boundary County has a need for this resource.
And we do work and coordinate. One of the things at our conference was talking about interoperability and the coordination between our different agencies, counties, tribes, states, feds, all of the above, because we're all in this together. And this would fall right underneath that, correct?
We have a memorandum of agreement to work with 5 North Idaho counties together in emergency management, so we support each other.
Great, thank you. Are there any comments from the public in regard to this agendized item?
All right, Mr. Chairman, based on the information before us, I move that the county approve resolution 2023-86 to surplus the 2006 Mirage trailer, VIN number 5M3BE303961023379, and transfer said Mirage trailer to Boundary County Emergency Management.
I will step down from the chair and second the motion. There is a motion, a second. Now, is there any public comment on this? Is there any discussion amongst the board?
No discussion.
Roll call vote?
Commissioner Omat?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams says aye. Commissioner Bradshaw?
Aye.
The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Our next item has been struck, and now we have, for now, Director Gabel with planning.
Morning, Commissioners, members of the public. Jake Gabel, Planning Director. Before you today is a request to extend a preliminary approval of a preliminary plat, and that's S0003-21, Sundance Acres Subdivision. So Sundance Acres is a subdivision requesting to plat approximately 47.63 acres of land to create 13 residential lots ranging from 2.5 to about 8.43 acres in the Coolin area. The project is bordered by East River Road to the west, state-owned property or state-owned land to the east, and privately owned land to the north and south. East River Road is a 60-foot wide county-owned and maintained road providing access to the project. The property is zoned recreation with a comprehensive plan designation of resort community. The preliminary plat was originally approved by the Board of County Commissioners on November 12th, 2021, with the following condition, which is condition B3, which is a typical condition added to all subdivisions, that it says the preliminary plat shall be valid for a period not to exceed 2 years from the date of the date of approval. At any time prior to the expiration date of the preliminary plat, the applicant may request or make a written request to the planning director for an extension of the preliminary plat for a period of up to 2 years. The Board of County Commissioners may consider such request for extension in a regular business meeting. The extension request must be approved or denied prior to the expiration date of the preliminary plat. So the applicant is requesting to extend this preliminary plat approval for the duration of 2 years. So that's from November 12th, 2023, which is their current expiration date, to November 11th, 2025, in accordance with this condition as stated, and in accordance with Bonner County Revised Code 12-642I, which is a direct quote for that condition of approval. The request for extension of the project from the project representative state that the project is being actively worked on and that the extension is needed to complete the required improvements on site. Staff recommends the board approve the request for the extension of the preliminary plat for project file S0003-21 Sundance Acres as presented. I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, and move to approve the request for extending the validity of the preliminary plat for a duration of 2 years from November 12th, 2023, November 11th, 2025, for project S 3-21 Sundance Acres.
I will step down from the chair and second the motion. There is a motion and a second. Is there any public comment on this agendized item?
Commissioner Williams would like to know, is 2 years typical for an extension?
Yes.
Pretty normal.
And this was originally approved as a 21 lot subdivision, and they've actually reduced the density down because they couldn't get the connections to the sewer system there. So now they're doing individual wells and septics on 2.5 acres or more. So the density has actually decreased over the last couple of years as the project has progressed.
Okay. Is there any further discussion amongst the board in regards to this extension request? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Omat?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams? Yes. Commissioner Bradshaw?
Yes.
The motion carries. It is 9:52 and we will take a 5-minute recess.
You got it.
I am aware, and that was the amended. So what is going to happen is, just so everybody knows, we added a executive session to discuss. We're going to discuss insurance. We're going to go into executive session, and then we're going to come out after we talk with Mr. Nate and our risk humans about insurance. And this is at the, I did the CYA thing. I texted, actually I emailed, and all of the board was included in that email, Bill Wilson, to get permission to find out if this qualified as an emergency. According to our legal counsel, this does qualify as an emergency. So what will happen, it's 9:53, we are going to go into a 5-minute recess, then we're going to come back. We will go into executive session. We will discuss it, and then afterwards, we will address the last agendized item. But I am willing to entertain some questions if people would ask. And yes, I most certainly did email and include the board.
Commissioner Williams said it was not amended, that you just added an executive session during?
That is inaccurate. I most certainly did amend it to do so.
It was amended.
Can you restate what the agenda item is that you're referring to?
Okay, so is that Mr. Lady? So
yes, thank you.
I apologize, Mr. Leedy. So our last one, we're looking at discussion decision regarding the purchase property insurance from insurance for, and we're looking at property insurance. And there is a timeline, so we're going to go into executive session to discuss contracts, which is completely allowable under state law, potential contracts, and then we're going to come back out and make a determination upon which direction the board will go.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. Leedy.
just one question, but if this constitutes what is it about the timeliness of this that brings it to a emergency? I'm just asking.
Oh, no,
because
I'll tell you.
It seems to me like this was something that should be planned out and known ahead of time. And did somebody just trip up, or how
No.
did this become an emergency?
How our insurance runs out today. So
And nobody knew that?
But we were waiting on information from him.
We did know that. We have some information, but for myself, when we're talking about spending hundreds of thousands of dollars and there might be other options that materialize, I think hundreds of thousands of dollars when we're looking at what we budgeted versus what an insurance company came, it's about the money. And that we might have an option that will not cost us as many hundreds of thousands of dollars, but we just don't know yet. So I'm hopeful, but I get disappointed a lot.
And we're hoping he'll come back and say, you guys get it for half of last year because y'all are so darn handy and no claims. But I'm trying to be optimistic, doubtful, but pretty doubtful, but optimistic. It doesn't hurt to hope.
Yes, so it's 9:56 and we're not going to go into recess. So I'm sorry, people, but you are going to be.
Oh, we thought you were leaving.
Oh, no.
Relax.